The views or opinions expressed on Ann Arbor Inclusive do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the City of Ann Arbor and the Commission on Disability Issues. For more information about the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues, please visit a2gov.org/disability resources.
Hello everyone and welcome to Ann Arbor Inclusive. I'm Zach Damon. We have a wonderful show for you today as Alex Teska, the Community Relations Liaison for Eversight, joins us in studio. So let's get the ball rolling, shall we? And first of all, I want to thank you for joining us on Ann Arbor Inclusive. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you. So the first thing I'd like to ask you, Alex, is what is Eversight Michigan and who do you help?
That's a great question. So Eversight Michigan is a nonprofit organization, also known as an eye bank. So what we do is we obtain, medically evaluate, and place donated eye tissue from individuals, either for corneal transplantation, research, or education. And each year we're able to help over 1,000 Michiganders receive the gift of sight.
So you're telling me that this year alone, you've helped 1,000 people in Michigan get cornea transplants as well as other eye tissue?
Yes, that's correct. So
wow.
Just in 2016, we were able to help 1,258 individuals.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know,
1,258
Yep.
people. I mean, that has to be very rewarding. You know, when you get up every day, you're making a difference.
You know, it's not your average job. You really get to see, especially in my position at Eversight, you get to see the results of all of our hard work.
That's wonderful. And you serve again as the Community Relations Liaison for Eversight. What does that position involve?
Yeah, it's a mouthful, isn't it?
Oh, that's all right.
So what I do at Eversight, a nonprofit organization, you know, we wear lots of different hats when we work at a nonprofit organization.
Sure.
But I get to work with our ambassadors, which are our recipients and our donor family members. So we have volunteers statewide helping to spread the message of the gift of sight. I also help with a little bit of fundraising.
Wonderful.
And I work with our partner organizations. But when I like to tell people what I do, is I get to share and tell the story of our organization, of Eversight's mission. So I get to be out in the community with stories from donor families and recipients.
Sure.
And I really think that I'm lucky to have my position at Eversight. I get to, like I said, see the end result of our work.
Yeah.
And with that, you know, awesome position of seeing the final result of the recipient who gets to see their children's freckles again, or to work with a donor family and provide that healing opportunity with a lasting legacy of donating their loved one's eye tissue, I think comes some responsibility too. I want to make sure our staff, you know, the individual who's working in the call center, taking those phone calls from someone who's passed away, or the laboratory technician who is testing and evaluating the tissue to make sure it's safe and healthy for a recipient. I want to bring those stories back home to Eversight so they can see the result of their hard work as well.
And you know, I think that is just a wonderful philosophy that you have. Because again, you know, you're establishing that emotional connection with what you're doing. They're not just clients, they are people. And what you're doing is very important. So I think when you brought up creating that connection, that's something very important and unique about Eversight and what you do.
We definitely consider a family.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. So on that point, I mean, what first got you involved with Eversight?
Also a great question. You know, when I was in college, I couldn't tell you what an eye bank was. So I studied political science at Central Michigan University, fire up chips.
There we go.
Yes. And afterwards, immediately after graduating from college, I went to work on political campaigns.
Okay.
And in 2010, it was the midterm elections, so I worked on the Secretary of State race.
Okay.
And at that time, one of the hot button issues of the campaign was organ donation. And this was a brand new topic to me. And I was always passionate about causes and kind of just fell in love with this cause. We got to visit Gift of Life Michigan, which is the organ procurement organization for the states.
Okay.
And also meet folks from Eversight, Michigan, recipients and donor family members.
Sure.
So as I learned more about organ donation, I kind of, like I said, just fell in love with the cause. And at that time, the Secretary of State's office wasn't asking customers if they wanted to join the organ donor registry.
Okay.
So we only had 27% of the state registered as
Is that
eye
right?
organ and tissue.
27%?
Right?
That's
surprising because
That is?
Michiganders, we know that they are a giving people.
Right.
So I think they just weren't given that opportunity to really register their decision to donate. No one had asked them. So we did not win, unfortunately, our race, but I knew where my next path was going to be.
Sure.
You know, campaign life, I just don't think it was for me. So I sought a job in the organ donation and transplantation community and found one here at Eversight, and 6 years later, I'm still here.
Wow.
And to report back to the Secretary of State who was voted into office
Sure.
did change the policy. So I'm happy to share that we have almost 58%
Wow.
now on the organ
So
donation
from 27
registry.
now to 58%.
Yes.
What an increase.
Right, more
Man.
than doubling.
Wow. I
So-
mean, that is so amazing. And the fact that you're working for something that's bigger than yourself,
Yeah.
that gives back to humanity, is just so great. And I mean, why is it important for people to have that red heart on their license?
So that red heart signifies that you're an eye, organ, and tissue donor in the state of Michigan. So it's important to make that decision and not leave that decision to your loved ones and family after you pass away. If your loved ones know what your decision is, it's going to be much easier for them to fulfill your final wish to donate.
Sure.
So I think it's important to not only register your decision to make it official, but also share it with your friends and family so they know your wishes.
Wonderful. And getting back to Eversight and the organization, you know, your organization began with a man's dying wish, which was to donate his eyes so that others could see. And in 1957, the University of Michigan ophthalmologist John W. Henderson made that dream a reality and founded the Michigan Eye Bank. And of course, in 2015, the organization changed its name to Eversight to inspire more people to support its work and re-energize the mission. And today, I'd like to read your mission statement.
Sure.
It reads, to restore sight and prevent blindness through the healing power of donation, transplantation, and research. And I'd like to know, why is this mission important?
So I think our mission is important for multiple reasons. Number one, we're helping people keep their promises. We're helping people carry out their decision to donate.
Sure.
What an honor.
Yeah.
That's such an honor to be able to do that. Number two, we're offering the highest quality of human eye tissue for someone to get a second chance at sight, to have that possibility to see a sunset at the end of the day. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And number three, we're providing hope to thousands of people by investing in a strong research program that funds grants for researchers, but also connects them with the eye tissue that they need to study other blinding eye diseases like macular degeneration.
Wow. No, and again, I think that's something that is just so rewarding. I mean, have you noticed great feedback from people that have benefited from the donation of tissue, and people that have worked with you? Have you noticed an increase in feedback? And, you know, can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yes, I definitely get to hear from recipients who've received the gift of sight, and it's truly touching. I also handle our correspondence between donor families and recipients, so
Okay.
they'll write letters to one another, and we'll facilitate that as a service to them. So I get to hear about them being able to drive again, or being able to read a book again. Or I had one transplant recipient who went to see the Grand Canyon
Really?
after his transplant.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
amazing things that these people are able to do to return to productive, independent lives.
Sure. No, I think that's an amazing story. And as Michigan's only eye bank, Eversight provides 3 important programs, and I'd like to touch on them a little bit. So in addition to the core services, you have the Gift of Sight program, the Gift of Hope, and the Gift of Knowledge. So can you tell me a little bit more about these programs and how they're helping people across the state?
Absolutely. So these programs kind of fall under our community relations department. The Gift of Sight program is another service we have to offer to people. For those who are underinsured or uninsured, we make sure that they are able to still receive that sight restoring
Oh, is that right?
transplant. Yes,
Wow.
we have a special fund set up for them to
Sure.
cover the cost if they cannot meet the cost due to, like I said, underinsured or uninsured.
That is great.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with, you know, how times can be, I think that's a
Right.
tremendous service that you offer. Being able
Absolutely.
to get everyone the service they need in terms of the tissue and things. And man, I mean, you guys do a lot. I
We
mean,
do, yeah.
that is incredible. So, and the biggest thing is Eversight is also, you know, you're a charitable organization. And You're not necessarily something that, you know, has a bunch of funding, and you rely
right.
a lot on donors and community support. And so that's something that I'd like to touch on too, because many say, oh, well, you guys are this great organization and you're doing a lot of things. I'm sure, you know, it's self-sustaining and you're fine. But that's not the case. So how can others get involved and really help Eversight or make a donation?
Absolutely. So like you said, we're a nonprofit organization, 501c3, and we're not federally funded. So we do rely on public support. And you can help in a lot of different ways. You can go online and donate, make a donation. You can fund one of those programs that we were just talking about. So the Gift of Sight program, Gift of Hope, Gift of Knowledge, those are all publicly funded programs that allow us to do our jobs.
Sure.
You can become an ambassador. You know, not just recipients and donor families can help us spread the message of the Gift of Sight. Anyone can do that. So you can register your decision to donate. You can get that red heart on your driver's license. You can share that message with your family and your friends.
Sure.
You could attend one of our events. We have an annual Gift of Sight Golf Classic locally in Ann Arbor.
Okay, when is that?
So that's that's June 19th. No, I'm sorry, June 17th.
Okay.
So that happens every year. And we also have our 60th anniversary open house this year.
Wow, 60 years.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
60 years of Sight. That's
wow,
amazing.
That is.
Yes.
My goodness. I mean, it probably, you know, is going to be a wonderful event. And so can people attend that as well?
Anyone can attend that as well. More information can be found on our website, and that's going to be in September.
Awesome.
So September 29th, so that'll be a great event to come out and get an up-close and personal view of Eversight. We'll have great tours going on, great food, live music, and that's another chance to support Eversight in the work that we do. But you can also share our information on social media.
Definitely.
You know, we've got lots of information readily available on our website that you can share on Facebook. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, always, you know, producing some great content to share with folks. So sharing that information and liking our page, those things all help spread the message and support Eversight.
That's awesome. I mean, I know I'm definitely going to check it out. I hope the viewers do too.
I'll look for you as a follower.
There we go. Okay. But the other thing too, I mean, going back, because, you know, again, you mentioned, and then we talked a little bit before the show, about how you were, you know, a political science major.
Yeah.
You wanted to manage campaigns and do all this stuff, you know, within the political sector. But looking back, you know, 6 years, I mean, could you have imagined being with the company for 6 years and doing what you've done and having all these experiences? Is it really?
I would have never imagined it if someone came back and told me in college that I'd be working for an iBank and doing what I do. I don't know if I would believe them because I was pretty gung-ho on politics, but I can't tell you enough how much the path has just really been right for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not working towards an election per se with Eversight, but I constantly do feel like we're campaigning for our cause. So that fit right into line into what I was doing before, and to work with a cause so worthy as Eversight Michigan, I think it's so fulfilling.
No, and I mean, I'm glad that it's something that you've been able to just network and get involved with and be a part of.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and I'm curious too, you know, what do you say to viewers that go, wow, you know, this is so amazing and I didn't know about this, and, you know, it's something that is just new to me.
Yeah.
And you know, what do you say to those viewers that say, well, this is still, you know, something I'm a bit skittish about? Because I've talked to some, right, that are like, well, you know, donating organs is kind of a morbid thing, kind of weird, you know.
No one really wants to think about passing away, you know. That's a sensitive subject, but what I do like to do is offer them the facts.
Right.
You know, talk to them about any misconceptions that they might have surrounding eye organ and tissue donation. And of course, share those personal stories that I keep telling you about. I feel like those are the true connectors with our mission and the public, you know, to talk about, you know, someone who can resume their daily life, their productive, independent life. I think that really relates with folks, whether that be reading a book or watching your child play soccer. That's what humanizes our mission and allows people to connect with them. So I want to figure out, number one, you know, what's holding them back in their decision. Number two, arm them with the facts. And three, also give them time to let that information soak in and let them make that decision when they're ready.
Definitely. So for someone watching that needs an eye transplant or a tissue transplant, but they're hesitant about it because they're not sure that it's going to take or that it's going to work, you know, why do it?
Because it provides you a second chance at sight. You know, again, I would be sharing those stories with them of the recipients who are able to do the things that they are able to do now because of that cornea transplant. And, you know, with our ambassadors, it's always great to have an opportunity to pair up someone who's already received a cornea transplant with someone who's a little, nervous about it. It helps alleviate those fears, and again, it's allowing us to provide a service to folks who, are going to receive our corneal tissue.
Sure. And Alex, I'd like to point out too that Eversight, you guys are also teamed up with like Midwest Eye Bank, right? So there's eye banks kind of all around the country?
Yeah, so Eversight is a network of community eye banks.
Sure.
So we serve in lots of regions across the United States, as well as we have an eye bank set up in Korea as well. So we have
Really?
an international eye bank.
Wow.
Yes.
And how has that worked? I mean, how has that been received? Has there been a lot of people that have come in and received the service, and has it worked very well in Korea?
Yes. So after we meet our needs domestically here in the United States, and we make sure everyone who needs a cornea transplant has
Sure.
gotten one, we work with partners internationally to get that eye tissue to folks who are in need across the world.
Wow.
So, in the United States, we're really lucky. We have a donor registry, but folks across the world do not have that service offered
Really?
to them. So we want to make sure we can serve those as well.
Yeah. So I'm curious. Are we one of the or the only countries that has a donor? How many countries do not? Is it something that's relatively new, having a donors list?
Having a donor registry isn't new for the United States.
Right.
It's something that's wide and
Sure.
across the United States. But across the world, it varies. Third world countries don't have that kind of means set up. So
Right.
we want to make sure that they have access to the sight restoring transplant that anyone in the United States would. So we want to work to facilitate that.
Well, exactly. As you said, quality of life, it's not just about a good quality of life here in the United States, but it's about a good quality of life globally.
Yes.
And I feel like you and Eversight represent that very well.
Well, we try. We do.
Oh, you're
That's
not
important
trying,
to
you're
us.
doing,
Yes.
What was it, 1,000, how many this year, 1,158?
In Michigan, there was 1,258 cornea
1,200.
recipients.
Okay.
Yes.
1,250, I apologize, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
No, that's fine.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and if you want to boil it down even more, we
Sure.
had 135 donors in Washtenaw County and 16 cornea recipients. So this is a local thing that's happening in your community, and I think folks just might not know about it, and we definitely want to get the word out to them and let them know that, we are a local eye bank in their area, but we serve the entire state of Michigan.
Wow, that is amazing. And this may seem like a very interesting question, but when I was speaking with you and I found out you were going to be on the show, I said,
Yeah.
I just have to ask this because I'm not sure. So different color of eye tissue, right? Does it matter? Will they
Yeah.
all work? If someone has green eyes, for example, but then they get transplanted a different shade.
So actually, when you get a cornea transplant, it's just the clear dime-like tissue right in front of your eye.
okay.
So you're not actually transplanting the whole eye.
Sure, okay.
So the color wouldn't be influenced by the cornea transplant.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not the actual
So that's
whole-
another great question, though,
Sure.
because people just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, no, that's interesting. And when I was in high school, we dissected an eye, and it was very interesting, like you said. The different layers
Yes.
of the
Very
eye.
complex.
Very, very complex. The optic nerve is a very, very intense part of the body, and the way that it can receive light, the way that it reacts to darkness, and everything. And I found out a very interesting fact, by the way. Do you know why pirates used to wear an eye patch?
I do not. Please tell me.
Night vision.
Night vision.
That's right, because when they were navigating at night, they wanted to be able to see clearly.
Okay.
And so it wasn't necessarily that they were missing an eye, but it was so that eye could always be finely tuned for the darkness. So then when it
Wow.
got pitch black, they were still able to
Okay.
navigate just as well as in the light.
See, I learned something new today.
Hey.
I thought I was going to be here telling the facts.
Hey, there we go. But no, like I said, I think it's just wonderful that you're here. And is there anything else that you'd like to highlight today for the viewers watching about Eversight, or anything else that you'd like to say?
So again, I think I would like to share one of those personal stories. One of my favorite moments working at Eversight is being able to talk to our volunteers, our recipients, and donor family members. And there's one story that really sticks
Sure.
out to me in particular.
Yeah.
As a mother of 3 children in West Bloomfield, Michigan, and she had her cornea transplant. She had put it off for a while because she was nervous, but she did move forward with that corneal transplant because it was time. And she shared a story with me. She was cleaning her toilet bowl after her cornea transplant, and she wasn't astounded by how dirty it was.
Okay.
She was astounded by the bright blue color of the toilet bowl cleaner.
Really?
And that is just something that I think that we take for granted every day.
Yeah.
I don't think about that when I'm cleaning my toilet bowl.
Right.
But it brought her to tears about just how beautiful and vibrant that blue color was. And I think if anyone can take home anything from this interview, I think it's that story still sticks with me today.
Sure.
And makes me realize the power of the work that we're out there doing today.
No, I think that's wonderful. And I just want to touch on something else too. Do you have one or two great memories that you have of your 6 years so far at Eversight?
So that would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, of course.
But another one, I would say, it's always these personal stories. I know I keep rambling on
it's
about
fine.
those.
It's fine.
A young individual called me. He wanted to write a letter to his donor family, and I was just talking to him and learning more about his story. And because of his corneal transplant, he was able to pass the test to become a Michigan State police officer.
Really?
And that's another moment that just really sticks with you and
Yeah.
makes you glad for the work that you're doing, makes you excited about the work that you're doing,
Sure.
makes you motivated to get out there in the community every day and share those stories.
Right. And not to be punny, because I mean this sincerely,
Sure.
but really, really execute your vision. And having those people...
Absolutely.
Yeah, and having those people, go on to continue to have a great quality of life and even, achieve more after what they've received. And so, again, I think that is amazing. And, it's been definitely a pleasure to have you. I hope all the viewers, again, those of you watching that need a cornea transplant or are thinking of that and are a bit hesitant, I hope you can definitely reach out to Alex and everyone at Eversight. And
It's been a pleasure.
Get a
I really
chance to.
enjoyed talking with you today.
Hey, thank you so much, Alex. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. And I hope you enjoyed the program. Please be sure to tune into Ann Arbor Inclusive next month. And as always, stay awesome, Ann Arbor.